Part 1. The stars looked cold and distant through the broken view screen. Commander Velthar pressed his three-fingered hand against the console and tried not to show his fear. Around him, the bridge crew of the Eternal Dawn worked in desperate silence. Sparks flew from damaged panels. Emergency lights cast everything in red. "Hull breach in sections 12 through 15, reported his second officer. Her voice shook. "Life support failing in the cargo bays." Velthar closed his eyes. The cargo bays held 3,000 civilians, families who trusted him to lead them to safety. Children who would never see the colony world they dreamed about. Through the main screen, he watched the Krath warships circle like hungry beasts. 12 of them, each bristling with weapons. His own fleet was gone. 3 escort ships destroyed in the first attack. The Eternal Dawn was a colony transport, never meant for battle. It carried 40,000 Valoran refugees and nothing that could fight back. The Krath had appeared without warning 2 hours ago. They disabled the colony ship's engines with the first strike. Communication arrays went down next. No distress signal escaped. The nearest Galactic Council station was 17 light-years away. Even if someone knew about the attack, help would take days to arrive. The Valorans had maybe 4 hours of air left. "Commander, incoming transmission from the Krath flagship," said the communications officer. Velthar straightened his uniform. He knew what was coming. "Put it through." The screen filled with the face of Warlord Thex. The Krath were a brutal species, covered in thick scales and bone ridges. Thex smiled, showing rows of sharp teeth. "Valoran Commander, you have fought well, but it is over. Surrender your vessel." "We are a civilian colony ship," Velthar said, keeping his voice steady. "We carry no weapons, no military value. Let us go." Thex laughed. It was not a pleasant sound. "Your people will make fine slaves. Your ship will be stripped for parts. You have 10 minutes to decide. Surrender and live in chains or refuse and die quickly. Those are your only choices." The screen went dark. Velthar looked around his bridge. Young officers stared back at him, waiting for orders that would not come. There was no secret plan, no hidden weapon, no rescue fleet coming through the darkness. He walked to his command chair and began recording his final log. It was important to document what happened here. Maybe someday someone would find the wreckage and know that the Valorans fought until the end. "This is Commander Velthar of the colony ship Eternal Dawn. We were ambushed by Krath pirates in the Outer Rim. Our escorts are destroyed. Our engines are disabled. 40,000 civilians are aboard this vessel, including 12,000 children. We have no way to fight back, no way to escape. The Galactic Council has abandoned this region of space. We expected no help, and none came." He paused, trying to find the right words for his final message. That was when the sensors began screaming. Every alert on the bridge activated at once. The science officer shouted in confusion. Velthar spun to face the main screen just as space itself seemed to tear open. It was not a normal jump point. Those appeared as controlled spatial folds, smooth and predictable. This was violent. Reality ripped apart like torn fabric. Energy poured from the wound in space, making the sensors go wild with radiation warnings. Something massive pushed through the tear. A ship emerged from the impossible opening. It was huge, maybe twice the size of a Krath battleship. The hull was covered in thick armor plates, scarred and scorched from old battles. Strange symbols marked the sides. The design was unlike anything in the galactic database. "What is that?" whispered the tactical officer. The unknown vessel positioned itself between the Eternal Dawn and the Krath fleet. Its weapon ports opened, dozens of them. Then it broadcast a message on all frequencies. The translation computer struggled with the language for a moment before converting it to Valoran. The voice was calm, almost gentle. "This is the HKNS Taiwan of the Terran Navy. We have detected civilian vessels under attack. Hostile fleet, you are ordered to withdraw immediately. This is your only warning." Velthar felt his breath catch. Terran? He searched his memory for that word. No species in the Galactic Council used that name. His computer found nothing. These beings were completely unknown. On the tactical display, he watched the Krath fleet react. Warlord Thex was not the type to back down from a challenge. 3 Krath destroyers broke formation and moved toward the strange new ship. "Unknown vessel!" Thex's voice boomed across all channels. "You interfere in Krath business. Leave now, or share the fate of these Valorans." The human ship did not respond with words. One of its weapons fired. Velthar barely saw it happen. There was no bright plasma bolt, no energy beam, just a brief flash and a streak that moved faster than his sensors could properly track. The Krath destroyer simply came apart. One moment it was there, engines glowing and weapons charging. The next moment it was an expanding cloud of debris and atmosphere. The explosion lit up the darkness for just a second before fading to nothing. The entire bridge fell silent. Velthar stared at the screen in shock. Krath vessels had shields that could withstand plasma cannon fire, armor that could take missile impacts. That destroyer was not damaged. It was erased. The calm voice from the human ship spoke again. "That was a warning shot. You have 60 seconds to begin retreat or we will engage with lethal force. We are authorized to protect civilian vessels by any means necessary." Velthar watched the Krath fleet on his tactical display. The ships were holding position, but he could see them adjusting formations. Thex was not retreating. The warlord had terrorized this sector for years. His pride would not allow him to run from one unknown ship. "Human vessel," Velthar transmitted. "You should leave. There are 12 Krath warships. You cannot face them alone." There was a brief pause. Then a different voice responded, speaking in slow, careful Valoran. "Thank you for your concern. We have evaluated the tactical situation. Please maintain your current position and prepare to receive assistance. Hull repairs will begin once hostile vessels are neutralized." The confidence in that voice was startling. These humans thought they could win against an entire Krath fleet. Velthar had seen the Krath crush entire planetary defense forces. He had watched them destroy military convoys with ease. 12 of their warships together were nearly unstoppable. But then he remembered the destroyed Krath destroyer. The way it simply ceased to exist. Maybe the humans knew something he did not. On his screen, the 60-second countdown reached 0. Warlord Thex made his choice. All 11 remaining Krath ships charged forward together, weapons glowing hot. The human ship waited for them. And Commander Velthar realized he was about to witness something that would change the galaxy forever. Part 2. Captain Hyun Dalwan stood at the center of the bridge with his hands clasped behind his back. The tactical display showed everything clearly. 1 disabled civilian vessel, 12 hostile warships. The math was simple. He had served in the Terran Navy for 20 years. He fought in the Outer Rim conflicts where human colonies faced raiders and pirates. He learned one absolute rule that every Terran officer knew by heart. When civilians need help, you give it. No matter the cost. "Status report," he said quietly. Lieutenant Kang Mira checked her console. She was his tactical officer, young but sharp. The civilian vessel has 40,000 life signs, mostly non-combatants. Heavy damage to their propulsion and life support systems. The hostile fleet consists of 12 warships, probable pirate configuration. They are moving to attack formation. Dalwan nodded. He already transmitted the warning. He gave them a chance to leave. They chose to stay. Weapons status? Chief Weapons Officer Park J looked up from his station. He was an older man with steady hands and calm eyes. Railguns charged and ready, missile batteries loaded, point defense grid active. All systems green, Captain. Engineering? From the lower deck, Engineering Officer Yuntae called out. Reactor at full power. Armor plating is solid. Damage control teams are standing by. We are ready for engagement, sir. Dalwan watched the Krath ships on his display. They were moving in a standard attack pattern, trying to surround his vessel. It was a good tactic against most opponents. But the Krath had never fought humans before. They did not know what they were facing. Lieutenant Nam, he said to his navigator. Once we engage, keep us mobile. Don't let them box us in. Nam Subin nodded. She was small and quiet, but she could make the Taiwan dance like a fighter despite its size. Yes, Captain. I have multiple evasion patterns ready. Three Krath destroyers broke from the main formation. They accelerated toward the Taiwan with weapons charging. Bright plasma gathered at their gun ports. Dalwan remained calm. Chief Park, fire one railgun. Target the lead destroyer. Center mass. Park J's fingers moved across his controls. Firing. The railgun was a simple weapon by human standards. It used magnetic acceleration to launch a solid tungsten projectile. No explosives. No fancy energy fields. Just a heavy metal slug moving at a significant fraction of light speed. The projectile left the Taiwan and crossed the distance to the Krath destroyer in less than a second. The Krath shields were designed to deflect energy weapons and slow down missiles. They were good shields. They worked against every weapon the Galactic Council used. The railgun projectile ignored them completely. It passed through the shield as if it were not there. The tungsten round punched through the destroyer's hull, tore through internal compartments, ripped apart the reactor core, and exited the other side. The entire ship shuddered once, and then exploded from the inside out. Debris scattered into the void. Atmosphere vented in frozen clouds. In 3 seconds, the destroyer went from a functional warship to floating wreckage. The bridge of the Taiwan was quiet except for the sound of systems running. Park J checked his displays. Target destroyed. Railgun recycling. Ready to fire again in 15 seconds. Dalwan opened a channel to the remaining Krath ships. He spoke slowly so the translation systems could keep up. Hostile fleet, you have seen what our weapons can do. Withdraw now. This is your final warning. If you continue your attack, we will respond with full force. On the main screen, the image of Warlord Thex appeared. The Krath commander's face was twisted with rage. You destroyed one ship with a lucky shot. I have 11 warships left. You are alone. You will be torn apart. Dalwan felt a touch of sadness. He gave them every chance to choose peace. They refused. So be it, he said, and closed the channel. Thex roared orders at his fleet. All 11 remaining ships charged forward together. Plasma cannons fired in waves. Missiles streaked through space. The Krath threw everything they had at the human warship. Point defense, engage, Dalwan ordered. The Taiwan had hundreds of small automated turrets covering every angle. As the plasma bolts and missiles approached, the turrets came alive. Laser beams sliced through the darkness, intercepting incoming fire. High-velocity rounds shredded missiles before they could impact. The few plasma bolts that made it through splashed against the ship's thick armor plating. The hull shook slightly from the impacts. Yuntae called up from engineering. Minor scoring on outer armor, no penetration, hull integrity at 98%. The Krath weapons were designed to fight ships with energy shields. Human vessels did not use shields. They used thick composite armor and point defense. It was a completely different approach to survival and combat. Lieutenant Nam, execute attack pattern Delta, Dalwan said. Take us in close. Nam Subin's hands flew across her controls. The massive warship suddenly accelerated hard. The Krath expected the human ship to keep its distance and exchange fire. They did not expect it to charge straight at them. The Taiwan dove into the middle of the Krath formation. At this range, the tactical display showed individual hull plates on the enemy ships. All weapons, fire at will, Dalwan commanded. The human warship unleashed everything. Railguns fired in sequence, each shot hitting a different target. Krath cruisers jerked as tungsten rounds tore through them. Missile pods opened and launched smart projectiles that wove through space, avoiding point defense fire and striking weak points in enemy hulls. Laser batteries cut through armor plating with surgical precision. 3 Krath ships exploded in the first 10 seconds. 2 more lost their engines and began drifting helplessly. The remaining 6 tried to spread out and surround the Taiwan. Captain, Mira called out. 2 Krath battleships are attempting to flank us, port and starboard. Dalwan looked at the tactical display. The battleships were the largest vessels in the Krath fleet, heavily armed and armored. They thought they could trap the human ship between them. Lieutenant Nam, bring us about. Engineering, charge the magnetic ram. Yuntae's voice came back instantly. Magnetic ram charging. 30 seconds to full power. The Taiwan turned to face one of the approaching battleships. The Krath vessel fired every weapon it had. Plasma bolts hammered the human ship's armor. This time, a few shots burned through the outer layer. Hull breach on Deck 7, reported a damage control officer. Emergency bulkhead sealed. No casualties. 20 seconds to full charge, Yuntae counted down. The Krath battleship kept firing. It was massive and powerful. Under normal circumstances, it could destroy 3 or 4 standard Galactic Council warships. But the Taewon was not a standard warship. 10 seconds. Dalwan watched the distance close on his display. The Krath battleship filled the view screen now, close enough to see individual weapon ports and armor plates. 5 seconds. Full charge achieved, Yuntae announced. Magnetic ram ready. Ram speed, Dalwan ordered. Hit them center mass. The Taiwan accelerated to maximum velocity. Its reinforced prow, designed for exactly this purpose, struck the Krath battleship directly in the middle. The impact was catastrophic for the Krath vessel. Metal screamed and tore. The human warship's magnetic field pushed aside debris as it drove through the battleship like a spear. The Krath ship split in half, both pieces tumbling away into space. The Taiwan emerged on the other side, armor scorched but intact. Damage report, Dalwan said calmly. Forward armor at 60%, Yuntae reported. Hull integrity holding. We are combat effective. 5 Krath ships left. Warlord Thex's flagship and 4 cruisers. They were no longer attacking. They were trying to retreat. Lieutenant Mira, disable their engines, Dalwan ordered. I want them alive to face galactic justice. The Taiwan pursued the fleeing vessels. Railguns fired with perfect accuracy, taking out engine cores without destroying the ships completely. One by one, the Krath vessels went dead in space. Only Thex's flagship remained. The warlord tried to run, pushing his engines beyond safe limits. It did not matter. The human ship was faster. A final railgun shot took out the flagship's propulsion. The ship drifted to a stop. Dalwan opened a channel. Warlord Thex, your fleet is destroyed or disabled. Abandon your vessel immediately. Escape pods only. We will collect your crews and turn them over to galactic authorities. For a long moment, there was silence. Then escape pods began ejecting from the Krath flagship. The battle was over. 8 minutes from start to finish, 11 Krath warships neutralized by 1 human vessel. Dalwan turned to his crew. Well done, everyone. Lieutenant Mira, begin search and rescue operations for the Krath survivors. Chief Park, stand down from combat alert. Lieutenant Nam, take us to the civilian vessel. They need our help. He looked at the damaged colony ship on his screen. 40,000 aliens who thought they were going to die today. Aliens that humans had never met before. Prepare repair teams, Dalwan said. Let us introduce ourselves properly. Part 3. Master Chief Ohana floated through the docking tube carrying her equipment pack. Behind her, 12 human engineers followed in single file. Their magnetic boots clicked against the metal walkway as they moved from the Taiwan to the damaged Valoran colony ship. She had served on Terran Navy vessels for 15 years. She repaired battle damage, rebuilt engines, and kept ships running in impossible conditions. But this was her first time boarding an alien vessel. First time meeting another species. The airlock cycled open. Hana stepped into the eternal dawn and immediately saw how bad the damage was. Burned panels, exposed wiring, hull patches that were barely holding. The air smelled strange, slightly sweet with a chemical edge. A group of Velerans waited in the corridor. They were tall and thin, with blue-gray skin and large dark eyes. They wore torn uniforms. Some had injuries. All of them stared at the humans with obvious fear. Hana removed her helmet slowly so they could see her face. She smiled and spoke into her translator unit. Hello, I am Master Chief Ohana. We are here to help repair your ship. The Valorans looked at each other nervously. One of them stepped forward, an older female wearing an officer's uniform. I am Chief Engineer Kalman. We We did not expect help. We know, Hana said gently. That is why we came. Can you show us your engine room? We need to restore propulsion first. Kalman led them through the damaged corridors. Velaran civilians pressed against the walls to let the humans pass. Parents held children close. Everyone stared. Some whispered in their own language. Hana understood their fear. 40,000 people thought they were going to die today. Then unknown aliens appeared and destroyed their attackers in minutes. Now those same aliens were walking through their ship. It would be frightening. The engine room was worse than she expected. The main reactor was offline. Fuel lines were severed. Control systems were fried. It would take days to properly repair with the right equipment. They had hours, maybe less. All right, team, Hana said to her engineers. Priority 1 is life support. Get the recyclers back online. Priority 2 is engines. We need at least enough power to reach the nearest station. Move fast but work safe. The human engineers spread out immediately. They opened their equipment packs and pulled out tools. Kalman watched in confusion. Your tools? They are so basic. Just welders and wrenches. Where are your energy manipulators? Your nano repair drones? One of Hana's engineers, a young man named Ko Min, laughed. We tried those fancy tools. They break down too easily. Sometimes simple is better. He began cutting away a damaged fuel line with a plasma cutter. Kalman assigned Velaran engineers to work with the humans. At first, the aliens were hesitant. They did not know human methods, but Hana's team was patient. They showed the Valorans what to do, worked alongside them, taught them as they went. Hours passed. Slowly, systems came back online. The air recyclers hummed to life. Temperature controls started working again. Lights flickered on in dark sections. Hana worked without stopping. Her translator unit allowed her to communicate with the Valoran engineers. She learned their names, asked about their families, shared stories about repair jobs gone wrong. The Valorans began to relax around the humans. Ko Min was elbow-deep in a damaged reactor coupling when a young Velaran engineer approached him. The alien hesitated, then spoke. Excuse me, I must ask, why are you doing this? Min looked up, his face covered in grease. Doing what? The repairs? Yes, you risk yourselves for us. We are strangers. We cannot pay you. We have nothing you need. Yet you came. Why? Min sat back and wiped his hands on a rag. My grandmother used to tell me a story. She was a doctor during the border wars. One day, enemy soldiers attacked her hospital. But she did not stop treating patients. She cared for everyone, even wounded enemy soldiers. Someone asked her why. She said that suffering people are not enemies. They are just people who need help. He returned to his work. You needed help. We were close enough to give it. What other reason do we need? The Valoran engineer stood quietly for a moment. Then he knelt down and began helping with the repairs. On the bridge of the Eternal Dawn, Commander Velthar met with Captain Dalwan. The human captain was shorter than a Velaran but broader, built strong and solid. He moved with quiet confidence. The repairs are progressing well, Dalwyn said through his translator. My chief engineer believes we can restore enough function for you to reach the nearest Galactic Council way station. It is 3 days from here at low speed. Velthar touched his chest in a Velaran gesture of gratitude. Captain, I must ask the same question my engineers are asking. Why did you help us? The Krath fleet could have destroyed your ship. You risked everything for people you never met. Dalwan tilted his head slightly. Commander, do humans seem strange to you? Very strange, Velthar admitted. Your weapons ignore our shields. Your ship rams enemy vessels. Your tactics are unlike anything in galactic warfare. And now you repair our vessel for no payment. Yes, you are very strange. The human captain smiled. It was a warm expression. Let me tell you about humanity. We come from a difficult world. For thousands of years, we fought each other. Wars over land, resources, beliefs. We nearly destroyed ourselves many times. He walked to the view screen and looked out at the stars. But we learned something important. We learned that helping others makes us stronger. When we take care of each other, we all survive better. This idea became the foundation of our society. But we are not your people, Velthar said. We are aliens. You are people, Dalwan replied simply. That is enough. When Terran Navy began exploring space, we made a promise. If we find civilians in danger, we help them. Always. No matter who they are. No matter the cost. Velthar struggled to understand. In the Galactic Council, species help their allies. They trade favors. They calculate benefits. But they do not risk valuable military assets for strangers. It is not logical. Dalwan turned to face him. Maybe logic is not everything. We have a saying on Terra. Leave no one behind. It means we do not abandon people who need us, even if it is dangerous, even if it costs us. We made this rule for our soldiers first, then for all humans. Now we extend it to everyone we meet. This could be exploited, Velthar warned. Species might take advantage of your kindness. Perhaps, Dalwan agreed, but we would rather be kind and occasionally fooled than cold and never helpful. We have found that most beings return kindness with kindness. You learn who people truly are by how you treat them. Before Velthar could respond, Lieutenant Kong Mira contacted Dalwan from the Taiwan. Captain, we have completed collection of the Krath survivors. 270 individuals in custody. We are holding them in our cargo bay until we can transfer them to galactic authorities. Treat them well, Dalwan ordered. Medical care for any injured. Food and water for all. They are prisoners, not enemies. Mira's voice held surprise. Sir, these are the same beings who tried to kill us, who were going to enslave the Valorans. I know, Dalwan said. But we are better than they are. We show them what civilized beings act like. Maybe some of them will learn. If not, at least we maintained our principles. Velthar listened to this exchange with growing amazement. Humans fought with brutal efficiency but treated defeated enemies with mercy. They were warriors and healers at the same time. Dangerous and kind. It was a contradiction that made no sense in galactic thinking. Down in the colony ship's engine room, Hana finally got the main reactor stable. Power flowed through the ship again. The engines hummed to life, weak but functional. She collapsed against a wall, exhausted. 16 hours of non-stop work. Kalman sat down beside her and offered a container of water. Hana took it gratefully. Your people are remarkable, Kalman said. You worked without rest, without complaint. Some of your engineers have injuries, but they kept going. Hana shrugged. We do what is needed. Your people would do the same. No, Kalman said quietly. No, we would not. If positions were reversed, if we found a human ship under attack, the Galactic Council would debate. They would calculate risk versus benefit. They would consider political implications. By the time they decided to help, you would be dead. She looked at Hana with her large, dark eyes. Your species is young. You have not learned to be cynical yet. Please do not let the galaxy teach you our bad habits. Stay the way you are. Hana smiled tiredly. We will try, but we could use friends out here. Species who share our values. Maybe you Velerans could be those friends. Kalman touched her chest in gratitude. After what you did today? Velerans will never forget the humans who came when no one else would. You have our friendship forever. Later, as the human repair teams prepared to return to the Taiwan, Veleran civilians lined the corridors. They did not speak. They simply stood and watched the humans pass. Some touched their chests in respect. Parents lifted children so they could see the strange aliens who saved their lives. Hana walked through the corridor with her team. A small Veleran child, no more than 5 years old by human estimation, darted out from the crowd. She held out a small toy, worn and clearly precious. She offered it to Hana. Hana knelt down to the child's level. Thank you, little one, but you should keep this. It is yours. The child's parent translated quietly. The child shook her head and insisted. Finally, Hana accepted the gift. The toy was a small carved ship, made of wood or something similar. The child smiled and ran back to her parents. When Hana returned to the Taiwan, she placed the carved ship on her workbench. It would remind her why she did this job. Why humans went into the dangerous dark between stars. Because someone had to help. Someone had to care. And humans decided long ago that they would be those someones. Part 4. The Galactic Council way station orbited a dim red star. It was not much to look at, just a collection of connected modules where different species could stop for supplies and repairs. But today, it was crowded. The Eternal Dawn limped into docking range with the Taiwan close behind. News of the battle had spread fast. Every species within 20 light-years heard the story. Unknown aliens called humans appeared from nowhere. They destroyed a Krath pirate fleet in minutes, saved 40,000 Valoran refugees, asked for nothing in return. Station Administrator Feltox watched the approaching ships through the observation window. He was a Trell, a species known for careful thinking and caution. He had run this station for 12 years without incident. Now his quiet way station was about to become the center of galactic attention. "How many news ships are in the area?" he asked his assistant. 17 and counting, came the reply. Representatives from the council are arriving. Military observers from 6 different species. Everyone wants to meet the humans. Feltox sighed. He knew this would be complicated. The Eternal Dawn docked first. Medical teams rushed aboard to help the refugees. Food and supplies were transferred. Valoran civilians filed out slowly, many of them crying with relief. They were safe. They survived. Against all odds, they lived. Commander Velthar stayed behind to greet Captain Dalwan when the human ship docked. The 2 commanders met in the main docking bay. Velthar had brought station officials and council observers. Dalwan brought only Lieutenant Mira. "Captain Dalwan," Feltox said through his translator. "On behalf of the Galactic Council, I welcome you and your species to our space. Your actions have raised many questions." Dalwan nodded politely. "Administrator, I am happy to answer questions, but first I must transfer the Krath prisoners to proper authorities. We have 270 individuals in custody." "Krath prisoners?" One of the military observers stepped forward. He was a Dravian, a reptilian species. "You took prisoners? The Krath never surrender." "They did not surrender," Mira explained. "We disabled their ships and ordered them to abandon or be destroyed. They chose survival." The Dravian's eyes widened. "You gave them a choice? After they attacked civilians?" "Of course," Dalwan said. "They were defeated. We had no reason to kill them. They will face justice now." This statement caused murmuring among the observers. Feltox noticed their reactions. The galaxy did not expect mercy from warriors powerful enough to crush the Krath. This made humans even more interesting, and perhaps more dangerous. "Captain, we must inspect your vessel," said a council military observer, a formal female with gray skin. "Your weapons technology is unknown. We need to verify you pose no threat." Dalwan's expression hardened slightly. "My ship is Terran Navy property. I will provide technical specifications and documentation, but I will not allow foreign inspection of a military vessel. That is not negotiable." The observer bristled. "The Council has authority to examine any unknown military technology." "In Council space, perhaps," Dalwan replied calmly. "Terra is not a Council member. We recognize your authority over your own territory. We ask that you recognize our sovereignty over our vessels." Feltox intervened before the argument could escalate. "Perhaps we can arrange a compromise. Captain, would you be willing to demonstrate your weapons technology in a controlled environment? We have testing ranges nearby." Dalwan considered this. "That seems reasonable. We can provide demonstrations and share basic technical data. But detailed weapons specifications remain classified until formal treaties are established between Terra and the Council." The Council observers did not like this, but they could not argue. The humans had done nothing wrong. They saved lives, defeated pirates, behaved honorably. The Council had no legal grounds to demand access to human military secrets. Over the next 2 days, the way station became a center of diplomatic activity. Dalwan met with representatives from dozens of species. Everyone wanted to know about humanity. Where was Terra? How many humans existed? What did they want? Dalwan answered patiently. He explained that Terra was far from Council space, beyond the Outer Veil Nebula. Humans discovered faster than light travel 90 years ago. They spent those decades carefully exploring, establishing colonies, learning about the galaxy. Why did you stay hidden? Asked a council diplomat, a being covered in soft fur. Why not contact us earlier? We were not hiding, Dalwan explained. We were being careful. Humanity has a painful history of first contact situations on our own world. When different human cultures met, it often ended in conflict. We wanted to understand the galaxy before announcing our presence. And now, the diplomat pressed, why reveal yourselves now? Dalwan looked at Velthar, who stood nearby. Because we saw people who needed help. We could not save them and remain hidden. We had to choose between secrecy and doing what was right. The choice was easy. This answer fascinated the council representatives. Most species made decisions based on advantage and benefit. Humans seemed to make decisions based on principle. It was unusual, refreshing, and slightly unsettling. The weapons demonstration happened on the third day. The Taiwan moved to a safe testing area. Target drones were set up, old derelict ships that could be destroyed without concern. Council observers watched from a safe distance as the human warship fired its railguns. They recorded everything. The tungsten projectiles moving at relativistic speeds, the way they passed through energy shields without slowing, the devastating impact against solid targets. Impossible, whispered the military observer. Those projectiles should be deflected by standard shielding. Human weapons use kinetic energy, Mira explained. She was handling technical questions. Shields are designed to disperse energy. They do not work well against solid mass traveling at high velocity. But this means every ship in the galaxy is vulnerable, the observer said. Our entire defensive doctrine is based on shield technology. Yes, Mira agreed. Just as human ships are vulnerable to sustained plasma fire. Our armor can take many hits, but eventually it will fail. Every approach has weaknesses. A Trell scientist spoke up. This is why you use point defense instead of shields. You destroy incoming fire before it hits your armor. Correct, Mira said. Different engineering philosophy. Humans developed technology in isolation. We solved problems differently than council species. The observers left the demonstration both impressed and worried. Humans had weapons that could defeat any council vessel. Their tactics were aggressive and effective. Their ships were tough and powerful. If humans decided to be hostile, they would be a serious threat. But the observers also noted something else. Humans had all this power, yet they used it to save refugees. They could have conquered this sector easily. Instead, they offered friendship. On the station, Velthar gave interviews to news services from across the galaxy. He told the story of the eternal dawn again and again. The desperate situation, the impossible rescue, the kindness of the human repair crews. They asked for nothing, Velthar said to a news reporter. No payment, no trade agreements, no political favors. They helped because it was the right thing to do. I have served in space for 30 years. I have never seen any species act this way. The story spread across the galaxy. On thousands of worlds, beings watched the footage of the human warship destroying the Krath fleet. They listened to Velthar describe Master Chief Hana working for 16 hours straight to repair his ship. They saw the small Velaran child giving her toy to a human engineer. Opinions formed quickly. Some species were grateful that someone finally stopped the Krath. Others were nervous about human military power. A few were skeptical, wondering what humans really wanted. But everyone agreed on one thing. The galaxy had changed. A new player had arrived, and they were unlike anything the Council had encountered before. On the 5th day at the station, a new ship arrived. It was larger than the Taiwan, clearly civilian rather than military. Its hull displayed symbols and text in human writing. It docked carefully, and a single individual emerged. Ambassador Cho Jin-woo stepped into the station wearing formal robes. He was an older human with gray hair and a gentle smile. He carried credentials from the Terran Federation government. He met with Captain Dalwan first, in private. You have caused quite a stir, Captain. Dalwan stood at attention. Sir, I followed standard protocols. Civilians were in danger. I had the means to help. I helped. Cho smiled. I am not criticizing, Captain. You did exactly right. But you understand that your actions have forced Terra's hand. We can no longer observe quietly. We must engage with the Galactic Council now. I understand, sir. I regret any complications. Do not regret saving 40,000 lives, Cho said firmly. Terra is proud of you and your crew. Now my job is to turn your heroic action into a diplomatic opportunity. Administrator Feltox arranged a formal meeting in the station's council chamber. Ambassador Cho sat at a table surrounded by representatives from major Galactic Council species. The room was packed with observers. Cho spoke clearly and calmly. On behalf of the Terran Federation, I propose formal diplomatic relations with the Galactic Council. We wish to exchange ambassadors, establish trade agreements, and share knowledge. We offer our assistance with humanitarian crises and our cooperation on scientific research. We ask in return only peaceful coexistence and cultural exchange. A council representative, a tall being with multiple arms, spoke. Ambassador Cho, your offer is generous, but you must understand our concern. Your species appears suddenly with advanced weapons and unknown technology. You defeated the Krath easily. How do we know Terra does not plan expansion into council space? Cho nodded. A fair question. Let me be direct. Terra has no interest in conquest. We have vast territories to develop beyond the outer veil. We have colonies that will keep us busy for centuries. We do not need more space. What we want is contact with other civilizations, to learn from you and share what we know. And your military? Pressed another representative. Your warships are clearly powerful. The Terran Navy exists to protect our civilians and merchant vessels, Cho explained. We also believe strongly in humanitarian principles. Where we can help people in danger, we will. But we do not seek conflict. We prefer peace. The representatives discussed among themselves in various languages. Finally, the lead diplomat spoke. The Council will consider your proposal. We will send observers to Terra. We request that Terra send a permanent embassy to the Council homeworld. A formal decision will take time. That is acceptable, Cho said. We are patient. We have waited 90 years to meet you. We can wait a bit longer for proper introductions. As the meeting ended, Velthar approached Ambassador Cho. Sir, I want to thank you. Your people saved 40,000 Valoran lives. Cho smiled warmly. Commander, Captain Dalwan told me about you. About your courage protecting those civilians. About how you thanked his engineers even though you owed them nothing. You represent the best of your people, just as Captain Dalwan represents the best of mine. I think our species will be good friends. Velthar touched his chest in the Valoran gesture of deep respect. I hope so, Ambassador. The galaxy needs more beings like humans. Beings who help without being asked, who fight for the helpless, who show mercy to enemies. And the galaxy needs beings like Valorans, Cho replied. Beings who remain grateful and kind even after suffering. Who remember those who helped them. Yes, I think we will be very good friends indeed. Outside the station, the Taiwan prepared to depart. Its mission was complete. The refugees were safe. First contact was established. Now it was time to continue patrol. Captain Dalwan stood on his bridge one last time before departure. Lieutenant Nam, set course for Sector 7. There is more space to explore. As the human warship turned away from the station, thousands of beings watched it go. The strange vessel that came from nowhere. That fought like demons but acted like angels. That changed the galaxy in less than a week. The age of human isolation was over. The age of galactic cooperation was beginning. And it all started because one ship refused to ignore a call for help. Part 5. 6 months passed since the battle that changed the galaxy. On Terra, in the capital city of New Seoul, Fleet Admiral Lee Dong-ha read the morning reports in his office. Outside his window, the sun rose over mountains that humans had called home for millions of years. His desk screen showed current deployments. 15 Terran Navy warships were now operating in Council space. Not as conquerors, not as invaders, as partners. There was a knock on his door. "Come in," he called. Captain Hyun Dal-won entered and saluted. He was back on Terra for the first time in 2 years. The Taiwan had undergone repairs and resupply. Soon it would return to space. "Sit down, Captain," Lee said, gesturing to a chair. "I wanted to speak with you before you depart again." Dal-won sat. He looked older than 6 months ago. Command did that to people. "Sir, is there a problem?" "No problem," Lee assured him. "The opposite, actually. I wanted to tell you that because of your actions, Terra now has formal treaties with 23 different species. The Galactic Council recognized us as a sovereign federation. We have embassies on 12 worlds. Trade is beginning. Cultural exchanges are happening." "That is excellent news, sir." Lee leaned forward. "Captain, you could have run that day. When you detected the attack on the Valoran ship, you could have jumped away. No one would have blamed you. Your mission was exploration, not combat." "The mission was also clear about protecting civilians," Dal-won replied. "Running would have violated our principles." "And that is why you are a good officer," Lee said. "You understood that our principles matter more than our mission parameters. You showed the galaxy who humans are. Now, let me tell you what happened because of your choice." Lee pulled up a star chart on his screen. "The Valoran government signed a mutual defense pact with Terra. They are our first formal allies. The Trell offered to share their scientific databases with us. The Dravian military wants to conduct joint training exercises. 7 species have requested Terran Navy vessels to help patrol their borders." 7 species? Dal-won was surprised. "The Krath terrorized the Outer Rim for generations," Lee explained. "After you destroyed their fleet, we sent 3 more ships to hunt down the remaining pirates. We captured 6 Krath bases, freed thousands of slaves. Now species in that region feel safe for the first time in decades." Lee changed the display to show news footage. "You are famous, Captain. Children play games about the Taiwan. Artists make paintings of the battle. You are a hero across the galaxy." Dal-won looked uncomfortable. "Sir, I was just doing my job. My crew did the real work." "Which is exactly the right answer," Lee said with a smile. "Stay humble, Captain. The galaxy has enough arrogant heroes. What they need are good people doing the right thing." Across the galaxy, in council space, Ambassador Cho Jin-woo attended a formal session of the Galactic Assembly. Representatives from hundreds of species filled the massive chamber. Cho stood at the speaker's platform, a small human among giants. "Honored representatives," he began. "6 months ago, my species was unknown to you. Today, I stand before this assembly to report on our integration into the galactic community." He displayed data on screens around the chamber. Terran merchant vessels now trade with 40 species. Our scientists collaborate on research projects. Our medical teams share techniques for treating diseases. Our artists exchange works with your artists. Our children learn your languages while your children learn ours. A representative from the Trell stood. "Ambassador Cho, this integration has been remarkably smooth, faster than any first contact in Council history. How do you explain this?" Cho smiled. "I believe it is because humanity came to the galaxy with open hands instead of closed fists. We offered help before asking for anything in return. That created trust. Trust makes everything else easier." Another representative spoke, a being covered in feathers. "But, Ambassador, there is concern. Your military capabilities are significant. Your navy is small, only 40 warships, but each vessel is extremely powerful. Some species worry about future human expansion." "I understand the concern," Cho acknowledged. "Let me be clear about Terran policy. We have no interest in conquest. We have centuries of development ahead of us in our own territories. But we will continue our humanitarian patrols. Where we find civilians in danger, we will help them. This is not negotiable. It is who we are." "Even if it means conflict?" the feathered being pressed. "We prefer peace," Cho said firmly. "But we will not ignore suffering to avoid conflict. We believe the strong have a responsibility to protect the weak. If that makes us unusual, then we accept being unusual." The chamber was quiet for a moment. Then a Valoran representative stood. It was Commander Velthar, now promoted and serving as a council observer. "May I speak?" he asked. The assembly leader granted permission. Velthar walked to the speaker's platform and stood beside Cho. "6 months ago, I commanded a colony ship carrying 40,000 refugees," Velthar said. "We were attacked by pirates. We had no weapons, no hope. We were going to die. The Galactic Council was too far away to help. We accepted our fate." He paused, looking around the chamber. Then a human warship appeared. Captain Dalwan and his crew fought 12 Krath vessels alone. They won. They saved us. They asked for nothing in return. Velthar's voice grew stronger. "After the battle, human engineers worked for 16 hours straight to repair our ship. They treated us with kindness and respect. They even showed mercy to the Krath prisoners, beings who wanted to kill them." He turned to face the assembly. "Some of you fear humans because they are powerful. I understand. But I tell you this. I would rather live in a galaxy where beings like humans exist than a galaxy where they do not. The strong usually take what they want. Humans give what they can. That is rare. That is precious. We should celebrate them, not fear them." Several representatives touched their chest or performed other gestures of agreement. The Valoran people had been grateful from the beginning. Now other species were starting to understand. In the medical wing of a council hospital station, human Dr. Kim So-ra worked alongside alien physicians. She was part of a medical exchange program. Human doctors taught council species about Terran medical techniques. In return, humans learned alien biology and treatment methods. Today, she was treating a Trell child who had been injured in an accident. The child's parent watched nervously as So-ra worked. Trell biology was strange to humans. Different organs, different chemistry. But So-ra studied hard and learned well. "The fracture is healing properly," she told the parent through a translator. "Your child should recover fully, no permanent damage." The parent touched her chest in gratitude. "Thank you, doctor. When I heard a human would treat my child, I was worried. We did not know if you could help non-humans. But you were so careful, so skilled." So-ra smiled. "All of my patients receive the same care, human, Trell, or any other species. Pain is pain. Suffering is suffering. A doctor's job is to end both." The Trell parent looked at her with respect. "Your people are truly remarkable. You see past differences. You treat everyone as equal." "We try," So-ra said honestly. "We do not always succeed. We have our own problems and prejudices, but we work every day to be better." This was the real work of integration. Not grand treaties or military alliances. Just individuals from different species learning to work together. Learning to trust each other, learning that they were not so different after all. Back on Terra, in a small apartment in the city of Busan, Master Chief Oh-hana sat with her family. Her wife, Park Soo, poured tea. Their daughter, Oh-minji, played with a toy spaceship. "Tell the story again, Mama," Minji said. "About the Valoran ship." Hana smiled. She had told this story many times. "We were on patrol when we found a colony ship under attack. 40,000 people who needed help." "And you saved them," Minji said excitedly. "The whole crew saved them," Hana corrected gently. "Captain Dalwan defeated the bad ships. I helped fix their engines. Everyone did their part." "Did they say thank you?" Hana reached into a drawer and pulled out the small carved ship the Valoran child had given her. "They did. This is from a little girl, probably about your age. She wanted me to have something special." Minji held the carved ship carefully. "Why did you help them, Mama? Were they your friends?" "Not yet," Hana said. "But sometimes you help people before they become friends. Sometimes you help people who will never be friends. You help because it is right." Sue smiled at her wife. "You are teaching our daughter good lessons." "I hope so," Hana said. "The galaxy is big and full of different beings. But kindness works the same everywhere. Help when you can. Be gentle when possible. Stand strong when necessary. If Minji learns those things, she will do well." Minji looked at the carved ship. "When I grow up, I want to be an engineer like you, Mama. I want to fix broken ships and help people." Hana hugged her daughter. This was why humans went to space. Not for conquest or wealth, but to connect with others, to help where they could, to make the galaxy a little bit better. Across the galaxy, the Krath regrouped. Warlord Thex was dead, killed by his own officers for his failure. A new warlord rose to lead them. Warlord Kress was smarter and more careful than Thex. Kress studied the reports of the battle. He watched the footage of human weapons tearing through Krath ships. He read the intelligence about human tactics, and he made a decision. We will not attack human vessels, he told his fleet commanders. We will avoid sectors where Terran Navy patrols. The humans are too dangerous to fight directly. But Warlord, one commander protested, this makes us look weak. The humans destroyed one of our fleets. We must take revenge. Kress struck the commander across the face. Revenge is for fools who do not learn from defeat. Thex thought he was invincible. Now he is dead and his fleet is destroyed. We are pirates, not soldiers. We take easy prey, not hard targets. The humans are hard targets. We leave them alone. The other commanders nodded in agreement. Word spread through the Krath clans. Human ships were off limits. Any Krath who attacked humans would be punished by their own people. This was an unintended benefit of Dalwan's victory. The Krath learned respect through force. They would not love humans, but they would fear and avoid them. On a council border station, Lieutenant Nam Subin sat in a small cafe. She was on shore leave, enjoying time away from the Taiwan. A Velaran officer approached her table. Excuse me, are you Lieutenant Nam? From the Taiwan? Subin nodded. I am, please. Sit if you like. The Valoran sat down. My name is Lirtan. I was a child on the Eternal Dawn. I was 7 years old when you saved us. I am glad you survived, Subin said sincerely. Because of you and your crew, I grew up, Lirtan said. I became a pilot. Now I serve in the Valoran Defense Fleet. I protect others like you protected me. Subin felt a warmth in her chest. This was the real impact of their mission. Not just saving lives in the moment, but giving people the chance to live their lives and become who they were meant to be. That is wonderful, she said. Your people should be proud of you. I wanted you to know, Lirtan continued. There are 40,000 of us. 40,000 people who lived because humans decided to help. We all remember. We all tell our children about the day humans came. Your legacy is not just one rescue. It is all the lives we live, all the children we have, all the good we do because we are alive to do it. Subin had to wipe her eyes. She was not usually emotional, but this was powerful. Thank you for telling me. Sometimes we wonder if our work matters. You just showed me that it does. Lirtan touched his chest. It matters more than you know. On Terra, Fleet Admiral Li Dongha received the final reports for the day. Terran Navy ships were operating across a vast area of space. Joint patrols with Council vessels, humanitarian missions, exploration of unclaimed sectors, trade escort duties. Not a single Terran ship had been attacked in 6 months. The galaxy learned the lesson. Humans were peaceful but capable, friendly but dangerous. Better to be their friend than their enemy. Li opened a channel to all Terran Navy vessels. This is Fleet Admiral Li to all ships. I am proud of what you have accomplished. You have represented humanity with honor and skill. You have shown the galaxy the best of what we can be. Continue your missions. Help where you can. Stay safe. Terra is proud of you. Aboard the Taiwan, Captain Dalwan heard the message. His crew was assembled on the bridge, preparing for departure. They were heading back to the Outer Rim. More sectors to explore. More work to do. You heard the Admiral, Dalwan said to his crew. We have done well. But our job is not finished. There are still people out there who need help. Still places where darkness needs light. We will be that light. Lieutenant Mira smiled. Permission to speak freely. Sir. Granted. I am proud to serve on this ship, Mira said. Proud to be part of this crew. What we did 6 months ago mattered. We changed the galaxy. We did our duty, Dalwan said. Nothing more. But yes, it mattered. And we will keep doing our duty. Because that is who we are. The Taiwan undocked from the station. Its engines glowed as it moved away from Terra. Soon, it would jump to faster than light speed. Soon, it would be back in the unknown regions where anything could happen. Commander Velthar watched the human warship depart from his office on the Council border station. He named his daughter Hyun, after the captain who saved his family. She was 3 months old now, beautiful and healthy because she had the chance to be born. One day he would tell her the story, about the day the Krath attacked, about the impossible rescue, about the humans who came when no one else would, about how a single act of kindness changed the galaxy. But for now, he just watched the Taewon fade into the distance. A small ship in a vast universe. But it proved that size did not matter. What mattered was choosing to help, choosing to care, choosing to be kind, even when it was difficult. The void was vast and dark and full of dangers. But now it also held humanity. And wherever humans went, they brought something precious with them. Hope. The galaxy would never be the same. And that was a good thing. The end.